Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to look at how to determine whether a function is even or odd. So to do this, we're going to use these two rules here. The way these rules work is we're going to plug in f of negative x. So in our function, wherever we have x, we're going to put a minus right in front of that x. And when we simplify that, we're going to see whether we get f of x, so in other words the original function back, which would indicate that function to be even, or whether we will get negative f of x, in other words get our function back but all of the signs are flipped, which would indicate our function to be odd. And if we don't get either of these, that would indicate our function to be neither even or odd. So that might sound a little complicated right now, so let's look at a practice problem so that you can get the hang of this. So let's say we have the function f of x is equal to x to the power of 4 plus x to the power of 2. So to determine if it's even or odd, we're going to plug in f of minus x. So if we do that, all we do is we change the sign to negative x, and that will give us x to the power of 4 plus x squared. As since we're timesing negative x to the power of 4, which is an even indice, that negative goes back to being a positive. This means that we get x to the power of 4 plus x squared. And if we look at this, this is the same as our original function. So this is just f of x, which, as we can see, this is the first rule up here. We have f of negative x, and when we do that, we get f of x, or the original function, meaning that this function is even. Let's look at another example. This time, let's say we have f of x is equal to 5 x to the power of 5 plus x to the power of 3 plus x. So if we plug in f of minus x, we just replace the x with minus x, so that gives us 5 times negative x to the power of 5 plus negative x to the power of 3 plus x. And if we simplify this, we get 5, and here we have negative x to the power of 5. And since it's minus to the power of an odd number, that negative is going to stay as a minus. It won't become a plus. So we have 5 times negative x to the power of 5, and that negative will be moved out the front, giving us negative 5 x to the power of 5. Sorry, that should be negative x there. And now we have negative x to the power of 3. Because this is a odd indice, we will keep this as negative, meaning we have minus x to the power of 3. And finally we have minus x, and no indice is shown, so that's the same as having this to the power of 1. And 1 is odd, meaning this will stay as negative. So if we look at this, it's the same as our original function, except all of our signs have flipped. So instead of positives, we have all negatives, meaning this is the same as negative f of x, which is our second rule here. So this function is odd. Let's look at one final example. This time, let's say we have f of x is equal to negative 2x cubed plus 3. So if we plug in f of minus x, that means we just change our x to negative. And if we simplify that, we are going to get negative 2 times negative x cubed. Now this negative x will stay as negative since this is an odd indice. However, we have a negative here and a negative here, and two negatives become a positive, meaning we have 2x cubed, and this 3 won't change, so plus 3. And if we look back at our rules up here, this is not even because it's not our original function here. We don't have a minus out the front of 2. However, it's not odd either, as not all of our signs have flipped. So here, our first sign has flipped because we have positive 2x cubed instead of negative 2x cubed. However, for this to be odd, this plus 3 would have to be minus 3, so it's the opposite of up here. So this is not the even rule or the odd rule, meaning that this function is neither even nor odd. So that's how you determine whether a function is even or odd. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing. See you next time.